Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. How's it going? It's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for tuning in, for being with us. I'm going to wait for a few people to jump on. I see there are some numbers coming up. Welcome, everyone. Please let us know where you're tuning in from in the live chat on YouTube, on Rumble. It's wonderful to see you all. And while we're waiting for people to jump on, I want to say something that's very close to my heart. We've been saying this for a long time. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, and we're free. Inspired Tribe. Healthy, wealthy, whole, and free. Hello, my love.
Hello.
That's Christine, the wise thumbs in a live stream. She's tuning in. Oh, there you are. The live chat is coming up. Christine's in a live chat.
My YouTube is not working today. I have no idea why.
Yeah, we got a little bit of internet problems here. Casey's here. Matthew's here. James, welcome. Mesa is here. Then Carol. Wonderful to see you. Angel is here. Beats is here. Welcome. Caesar, Mick Taylor, ComCom. Then we have Micheline. Oh, from Quebec, Canada. I'm sure I butchered that one.
You butchered that.
Michelin? It's probably better. We got Ian here. Welcome. Good to see you guys. Anthony, Melancholy Collie from New Zealand. Louise is here. Good to see you. Lindsay's here. Cynthia. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We're healthy. We're wealthy. We're whole. We're free. Okay, so we've been a little absent over the past few days because we were very busy in the most beautiful way possible. We were doing this here. You can see we were doing Yado. You are the one. And I'm going to speak about that in just a little bit because it ties in directly with the question that we posed for this live stream. It's actually a question we've been getting often. And people, they come or they call or they write and they say, do you really think we can turn the ship around? Do you really think we can fix this? Talking about the state of the world. And I'm going to say this because we wouldn't be doing all of this. We wouldn't be doing any of this, really, if we didn't believe that with all of our hearts. But I'm going to put a but to next to it. It doesn't mean we believe that we can fix this in a way that there will be no repercussions for anyone. So that being said, what does it mean and how can we actually fix the world? This has been a question today. Today, on the last day of our Yada retreat, the You Are the One retreat, we had an open Q&A session. And I truly believe this. I mean, so many people have said it before us. So this is nothing new, but people said, be the change you want to see. And boy, does that sound like a loaded cliche. And everybody says, well, but that doesn't do anything, right? And here's why I believe that this is the answer to all the questions. And it stems really from being a father. It stems from having raised, together with Christine, 3 children. And it stems from our honest observation of that process and all the other processes we see in parents. And what I mean by that is that your children, and this is not a direct metaphor, but it helps to understand where we're coming from. If you have children, then you know that your children really don't as much do what you say, or they turn out to be and follow your words. What they really follow is who you are and what you do. And mainly the energy of who you are is what influences them the most. So your example and what you exemplify, and I mean really authentically exemplify, is what your children feel. And they will model their lives after that until they re-examine things and change them to their own needs and desires. But truth is that children model themselves after their environment, after the people they see. And likewise, we model the world by who we are, because who we are ultimately determines what actions we take also. So when people are very frustrated with the state of the world, which I can totally understand, we see challenges that are monumental. We see suffering that's monumental. We see genocide on a mass scale. We see destruction, disruption, inflation, We see all these things, and we know, right? All of us, we know a huge shift is happening right now. We know big changes are happening, and we know shit is hitting the fan. It's not coming. It's not somewhere in the future. It's here. And so the question is, do we have the ability to create a shift even amidst all the chaos? And I was just witnessing yet again a group of dedicated people for 3 days creating the shift, and being the shift in their own lives. And here is what I am thinking. When we create that shift, and let's say we observe that there is not enough truth in the world, well, where do we start? Being truthful with ourselves, being honest with ourselves. How can we have more truth in the world if in our own personal lives we lie to ourselves? I'm not saying this maliciously. I'm not saying this pointing fingers or judging you. We've been taught to ignore certain things of our experience. We've been taught not to look there. As someone so beautifully said, my family taught me that if there's something bad happening, we're quiet, we put it under the rug, and then we pretend it's not there. But that doesn't mean it's not there. But that is how so much family works and used to work. That is how so much of our society works. So is it then a wonder? Is it then any kind of mystery that when we look into the world, there has been so little truth because it's hidden under the rug? If you feel like there's not enough love in the world, well, then look into yourself and see where there's love missing. And then when we ignite that fire within us, when we create those changes, when we become more honest with ourselves, when we become more loving with ourselves and then loving towards others, what happens? We change the world by default because we are loving beings in the world. You have to look at this from the standpoint of that what we put out in terms of energy is most important. Our actions, our words and actions must match what we put out in energy. And then we have an amazing, amazing impact on the world. But it begins with all of us. And over the last 3 days, that's what we've been working on together with this group of people in creating a shift, in uncovering what needed to be uncovered, and in shifting. Every experience has to have a shift into something better, into a greater solution. And so when we seek to go out into the world and make these changes, which I'm a believer in that. I do believe we need to go into all the fields. We need to go into politics. We need to go into medicine and transform it. We need to go into everything and transform it. But how we go into these fields will determine if we can do this or not. So we need to be healed first. We need to be whole again first. If we want a world, how can unhealed, hurt beings create a whole and healthy world? They can't. And blame and shame and guilt is nothing that will help you on this path. We've all been hurt. We've all experienced some sort of trauma, some more than others or some different than others. We all have a life story and we all have the ability to shift. So that work, that inner work, that healing work, and that reconnecting and realigning with our true purpose, with our God-given purpose, with our God-given, creator-given purpose, when that happens, all of a sudden, we truly become the change in the world. And I'm not saying all of a sudden everything shifts in the whole wide world, but in your little world, shifts begin to happen. In your little world, changes begin to happen. And they happen because you have changed. And so this old saying that be the change you want to see in the world is not a cliche. There's a lot of depth to it. And actually, Gandhi was not someone who just sat there and meditated. He was a fighter. He was a fierce fighter. He didn't use violence, but he used every other means to. And I know people have different opinions of Gandhi, but let me just put this out there. That man was a fighter, and he put a lot of action every day for decades into his cause. He did that. And so he wasn't just someone who believed that if you only sit there and meditate, that will change everything. And that's not what I'm talking about here. But we have to be and exemplify what we want to see in the world. And it is not logical, my friends. It is not logical to look at the world situation today and understand or even see the possibility of how our own changes could possibly have that much impact on the world, but they do. They do, I can promise you. Because before I remembered who I truly was, and I'm still remembering and I'm still awakening to that. But before I was in this process, I couldn't have been of any service to anyone. I couldn't give anything to anyone because I wasn't able to give it to myself. I wasn't able to realize that. But once that happened, there was more than enough, an overflowing cup, and so I can give daily, and I love to give, and I love to share. But it is because there's something in here, because I have put the pieces together, and because I have allowed myself to heal. And that is literally the key to how we fix the world and the key to how we change the future for our children. We must become whole again. And more than once during these days with this wonderful group of people, we heard one sentence: it stops with me. These are wise words because somebody has realized that if I don't heal and if I don't become whole again, if I don't really become who I was meant to be, this hurt, this pain will be projected onto the next generation and the next generation. And our children will not just look at a world in shambles, they will look at an inner world in shambles. They will look at a family structure in shambles. They will look at all these things. We have the ability to heal that, and we need to do it now. There's not much time, there's not decades left to ponder on this. The healing needs to happen now. And simultaneously, as we heal, we need to bring that healing actively into the world as well. Uh, this is the foundation for it all. Of course, there are many things based on that we need to do. We need to be really active. I'm a big believer in action. And for those who always point to the law of attraction, I've talked about this quite often. The word action is in that word. I like that. Attraction, right? I like that it's in there. So, over the past 3 days, we have witnessed yet again, as always, some miracles happen. And the miracles didn't happen in something that is that you could even call big action. I saw tears flowing down faces in deep meditations where people connected with who they truly are. Boy, is that powerful. And how they have come out of this powerful, empowered, because they've remembered who they are. Now imagine if that happens on a larger scale and thousands of people remember who they are, how they are walking out into the world, and how they can only do what's authentic and truthful because they remembered who they are. You cannot remember who you are and live a lie. It doesn't work. As a matter of fact, that's something we heard too. We heard too that once people realized who they really are and reconnected with that deep part, this God given divine part, they couldn't live less than that anymore. They couldn't settle for less than that. They weren't willing to settle for relationships that are less than that or a life that's less than that. Boy, that's a powerful thing. And it's extremely humbling to be a part of such a journey. But that's what it's always been about. And that's what really and truly creates the shift. So yes, we can. We can shift this. We can change. I believe this with all my might and all my heart. We are winning this. But as we are, we need to take this opportunity for healing. And if it's a loaded word to you, it means to become whole again. A lot of this is the program that we talk about so often. The program was injected into every structure, starting with the family. If you create chaos, hurt, and pain, trauma, abuse in the family, then you have everything else. Because if the little ones are subjected to that, they will remain in this state of trauma or traumatized for as long as they don't heal that. And it's hard to heal something you're not really aware of. That's why these tools, these modalities that we often speak about, whether that's the journey process, you can look that up on thejourney.com, whether it's family constellation therapy, These are all wonderful processes, and they go hand in hand with the meditations and the prayer work that you do, and that so many of you are doing. And I think it's highly important to always invite the Creator in. But I also believe the Creator has already given us these tools and abilities so we can help ourselves. I believe we've been given that for a reason. And it's kind of like I was sometimes a little tough as a dad when when our children were observing their friends and how their parents were doing a lot of things for their children that they could have done for themselves. And so a lot of times I would say when they came to me and wanted me to do something for them that I knew very well they could do for themselves, I said, I'm happy to help you with something you can't do for yourself, but I can't help you with this because you can help yourself. And that doesn't mean I didn't do stuff for them. It just means I felt the moments where they needed to feel and know that they have the ability to do this for themselves, to fix this for themselves, to create a solution for themselves. It was empowering. And it was empowering for me to watch that truth unfold. And so, as adults now, we also need to realize that we've been given these tools by our Creator. We've been given these abilities, these chances, these possibilities, and that we can do it, that we can heal, that we can transform, and hence transform the world. And I believe our Creator is waiting for that. I believe our Creator is cheering us on, waiting for that. So we reawaken these powers within us. I will continue to work on my own wholeness. And I will be the first one to admit that that process doesn't really end. It becomes easier with time, but it doesn't really end. And I will continue to work on myself, and I will continue to uh, desire to be better tomorrow than I was today. That's the best I can do. And then I will continue to shine my light as bright as I can into this world. And I ask you to do the same because your unique light is needed. We need you. All of us need all of you. And I encourage you to look into the mirror and give yourself permission to heal and to shine your light. That's the greatest thing in the world you can do. And with that, if you walk out into the world, you will truly be the change you seek to see, and you will also create the change you seek to see with the love, the wholeness, the inspiration, and the freedom to do it. And yet again, for 3 days, we dove into a space that allowed us to see this in the fullest of its potential. It was so beautiful and an experience that we cherish very much. And we know today there are 20 people or more leaving this place here, and they have shifted. And their worlds, their families, they will feel it. Their friends, their colleagues, everything around it will shift too. And that's so worth it. And that's how we fix the world. All right, Inspire Tribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you and we love you. We'll be back with you again very, very soon.